Hey, Christy Mattoon here from Rewire. Thank you so much for being here with me. As always, like, share, subscribe. I greatly appreciate that. Comment below if you have questions. I do try and answer those. And sometimes I get a little bit behind, but I do definitely try and get on and give you ideas and I don't know, even other things, and even book a free appointment with me. If you want to book a free appointment, please go to meetme, it's meetme.so/mindreiwire. So it's https://meetme.so/mindreiwire. And you can grab a free 30-minute appointment and just chat with me. If you want words from Spirit, I do charge $75 to do that kind of work with you. And if you just want to chat for a second and see what else there is, see if there's other ideas, if there's anything I can help with, I'm more than glad to get on and talk with you about that. So you can also go to my website at mindreiwre.com and just push the button, click the link, get a free appointment kind of thing. So you'll find that up in the right-hand corner. I wanted to get on here today and answer a question that somebody asked me that I just thought was really interesting. The question was, why is it that humans' hardest lesson is to trust in their Lord and their own inner guidance from their spirit? So if you believe in God, it's a hard lesson to learn how to trust God, and it is for most Christians. I don't know why I did that. For most people on a spiritual path to truly trust in a higher entity and just truly let it go, right? Truly let themselves go and have that kind of trust. It's very hard to do. So I want to help you understand this, first of all, and then trusting in their own inner guidance from their spirit. What's going on that's so hard to do? First of all, let me give you what I answered her, and then I'll expand on it a little bit. What I said back to her was, it's the hardest lesson, and so this is her perception of the hardest lesson, because you're not taught to trust. Pretty simple. You weren't taught to trust. You weren't taught how to trust on that level. As a way of being, you weren't taught to trust as a way of being. So let's get this right. You weren't taught to trust as a way of being. You were taught to trust as a concept. What does that mean? What is the concept of trusting somebody and trusting as a way of being? Two different things, right? So if I trust you, we're taught to trust our parents because we live under their roof and we don't know any better. You're taught to trust based on what your parents do to you, how they treat you, what information they've given you. And your availability as a child is just to be open and be you're totally in surrender mode, right? From your childhood until you reach adulthood, right? That 0 to 7 thing kind of goes away on the trust deal. Right? That's where your mind is a sponge. That's where you're under that state of hypnosis and that theta state where you just absorb all this information. That is so true. But in trusting, we learn this. It's like levels through our lifetime. And if your parents were giving you faulty information that you didn't know was faulty, you're learning that as truth. And your level of trust or your availability to trust will be based on that information. Even when you're an adult and you're walking around trying to figure out why people run you over all the time and you just keep trusting them. Does that make sense? And it's interesting when you start to realize my level of trust came from faulty information from a human being that didn't recognize what they were inputting into my system was going to be harmful down the road. And my guess is they were given the same information too, right? That's just kind of how it works. So you were actually taught to create internal conflict. This is part of my answer to her. You were taught to create internal conflict. You weren't taught to trust. You were given a bit of information that gave you reason to kind of lead down into this road of, I value this person and they're not going to do anything to harm me. But you're not even thinking that, right? As a child, you're just there is nothing else. That is what you do, is they They give you reason to trust. They give you, come over here and sit with me and read with me, or, play Play-Doh with me, or I don't even know, here's a lollipop, here's a popsicle. And then the next second you're getting your head bit off. The next second you're getting slapped because you left a toy on the floor. The next second you're getting thrown into your room. God, I don't even know what I did. The level of trust that you have as an adult is based on those experiences. And what a level of conflict, like do or don't do, right? I do something to cause you to interact with me, or I don't. And either way, I'm not trusting the situation. And for some people, it develops into self-trust, right? That develops into their own availability to trust themselves. And right, forget about trusting God. Forget about trusting your own spiritual guidance. I can't even trust myself. How on earth am I going to trust that? All right, so the last part of what I said to her, you were taught, oh, my phone just went off, hang on. You were taught to create internal conflict against internal knowledge and against your own spirit. We weren't taught to listen to our own spirits. We weren't even taught, most of us, that we have a spirit. Forget about listening to it. And that your spirit on a higher plane, right, in a different dimension, has so much more information than you do, and you have instant access. You don't have to go through anything to get to it. You just have to be aware it's there and not be afraid to talk to it and trust it. You have to have that component, right? So let's go back to her original question. Why is it that humans' hardest lesson is to trust in the Lord? So let's answer that part first. Because you weren't taught to. Very simply, you were not taught to trust. You weren't taught to trust on that internal level of total surrender. And the information you were given, let's be super honest here, the information you were given about the Lord and whatever that means to you, whatever word you use for that, you weren't given all the information. You weren't given enough information to allow you to just be at that total place of peace, right? The peace that passes all understanding. I wasn't given information on how to get there. I was given information that led me into fear, and over a lifetime, the fear got worse and worse, right? That's just how it was. And that's how what I learned about the Lord. It was scary. It was, I'm going to hell. That's what I was taught. That is what I was taught. And all my Catholic friends were going there with me. So that was good. At least I won't be alone. And I jest in this. I totally do at this point. And I won't even apologize for it anymore. I find it amusing. The way we were taught to understand some of this stuff and the level of trust we were given to be available to. Trust, guys, is an internal thing. It comes from spirit. It is an attribute of God, if you will. My spirit's availability to trust God, to trust the higher understanding, to be part of that realm, is the trueness of trust, right? It is the true availability of trust. If I have to be able to trust my own inner guidance, but I was beat up by humans all around me as a child, and my understanding of trust as a concept doesn't work, I have to be able to come back to understanding that trust comes from within. It comes from that spirit part of me. It's pure, it's natural, it's part of who I am, not something I go do. And I keep coming back to this with a lot of stuff. Some of these attributes, I call them attributes of God: trust, love, joy, peace. Think of some more: happiness, gratitude. On the deepest level, when you reach inside your spirit and come in contact with it from there, is way deeper, and it's a bigger experience. The volume of energy from it, the vibration, whatever word you want to use from that, is just different than understanding it from the scope of a concept that you were taught because of what somebody else in the same plane of resistance did to you, around you, for you, showed you. I don't know, it's what you were taught as a child. Right? If you want to get beyond it, you have to meet your spirit, and you have to start understanding this from the spirit standpoint. The world has changed. We all know it. We're all sitting in the middle of it still. The coronavirus thing is still going on, and there's still this weird discrepancy. Talk about trust issues, right? This weird discrepancy between what this side says and this side says, and there's always two sides. I don't care who you're talking to, who you're talking about, what the topic is. There is always going to be two sides, right? As long as man is on this earth, there's going to be two sides to the story. And the gap is huge right now. It is huge. Who do you trust? Who do you trust? Who can you, like literally, and this is a very serious question, who is the only thing, person, entity that you can trust? That you have available to instantly, easily? Your own spirit, right, is a direct line to the higher consciousness, to the spirit that created all of this, creator, source, God, whatever word you put to that. The universe, your higher self, call it whatever you want. Your availability to be there in that place and be able to trust and fully surrender. And I don't question when I hear a word from my spirit. I just stand on it and I go and do. It takes me to the next step. And that's the best way to do it, right? We don't trust because we weren't taught true trust. You were taught a concept of trust that was broken when it was taught. That's all it is. I hope this blesses you. If this helps you, please share it. I always love that. My name is Christy Mattoon. I am the owner of Rewire. I help people rewire their systems, heart, mind, soul, body. We dive deep into things, even ascension practices, that when you start to understand these things and you start to understand that the nature of what we think this plane of resistance is, this plane of existence, it's not what you think, right? The illusion is bigger than we think it is. The illusion in my head, I don't know, it's gotten crazy watching the stuff that's going on right now. The illusion itself is way grander than we had any idea, but your spirit knows, right? The higher consciousness has all the information, and all you have to do is tap into it. It's not even hard. It's not what they taught us, how hard this is to do. You don't have to go through a priest. You don't have to go through your church. You don't have to go through all of these different means that we were taught. It's available to you from inside you, and you get there. You have a valve that goes straight to the source. If you want more, contact me. Grab that free appointment I talked about, and I can give you information on how we can work together, and I can help you and guide you through some of these processes and practices that help you gain this kind of trust in your own inner knowing. All right. Again, I hope this blesses you. Please share this message and contact me. Thank you so much.